From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. James, how are you today? I'm looking forward to our conversation and another lively topic.
Doing well, Steve. As always, I'm always doing well. Anytime we get together and chat, is always a good day. So, how are you doing, Steve?
I appreciate that. I'm doing well, and I enjoy the same. And I think that's why we've been doing this for so long. It's just really it's almost therapeutic for us to be able to talk about a lot of the things that have to do with programming and control, and just being able to share our experiences. So I appreciate that. So
Yeah.
on that note, what we had planned for today was to talk a little bit about support because it's one thing to have a product, it's one thing to be able to put out a solution, that, write code, to develop an integration, but it's another thing to be able to ensure its success. And there's some that some programmers, some integrators, some AV professionals that'll can just take something and deploy it and figure it out, and they rarely need support, or they go to back channels to get the support that they might need. But then there's others who routinely will pick up the phone or reaching out to the authors, the manufacturers to get the support that they need, and perhaps a little bit of extra care to ensure successful integration or implementation. And there have been experiences, and I hope that others. I hope I'm not the only one that could relate to this, but there have been experiences where when two products need to work together, you end up in between because neither of the um, sides will necessarily take ownership for the whole solution. And that could be something on the control side, that could be something with integration of two products, and it gets sticky. So just wanted to throw that out in terms of experiences that you may have had, and maybe um, some ways that we can be able to help programmers who find themselves in those situations.
Help programmers who find themselves in this situation, that might be a hard one to solve because this topic actually reminds me of a conversation I had with a certain somebody. I'm not going to name names, well-known person in the industry, and we got talking about standards, mainly on AV over IP standards. And I brought up, like I can take a Windows computer and have it communicate with a Mac computer over network. It's gonna could it follow standards, IEEE standards, the ISO model. Um, and this person brought up a very good point at that time, but I've been thinking about that more and more. And that person's like, well, if company A and company D products, like we built the standard for AV over IP, and company A's product is not communicating with proper companies D, whose fault is it? And this person came back and go, the one who answered the phone. And then he's like, my company always answers the phone. So I see the point that they were making, but now I'm thinking about it is right now, like, okay, if I send an email out and I'm using Gmail for my email, and I send it to someone who's Outlook and then it doesn't communicate well, well, it could be Gmail, it could be Outlook, but you know what? We know it's not the communication between because it follows IEEE standard. So now we already pulled out a whole bunch of troubleshooting because we know that as long as they're adhering to the standard, they're going to meet that communication need. So it has to be either Google or Outlook. Allows us to start simplifying our troubleshooting steps. And then, yeah, you can get into the finger pointing. It's always going to happen. As you mentioned when you on onset, is you got some people who won't call tech support, who will just sit there and figure it out. I will fully admit, I'm somebody like that. I I kind of find it's like if I'm calling tech support, usually it's a big problem. Like it's to the point where my skills are not meeting it. My Google search and my back channels aren't helping, and now I need to talk to the manufacturer, the developer, whoever. And it's like I already spent probably a good 3 days on this. Um, so yeah, it's definitely there's not everyone out there, and then there's others who will just second uh, a blip, the phone's being picked up and calling. That's
Yeah,
fine. It's fine. So what it is one my little rant there is manufacturers need to know people are going to call them for support, and that's a good thing. Because if I'm calling you for support, and listen, is I'm trusting you to provide me the answer. If you're not providing me the answer, I'm not calling you anymore. If I'm not going to call you anymore because I'm not getting the answer from you, I'm not buying your product anymore. And as we say in higher ed, mainly, I don't buy one of things. I buy 200 of them. So that is a detrimental to the manufacturers who want to point fingers. They're like, no, it's this company's fault because they're not doing something and they're not helping. Be a partner, help us. It maybe is the other company. I can fully back and understand that. But help me figure it out. I'm calling you because I'm trusting you. You as a company, um, I need that help. I've already did a lot of legwork myself. Yeah, maybe other people are, picking the phone the second and blip. But again, they're trusting you to guide them through the right way. So you gotta be that partner.
yeah, I really like what you're saying because I know this is something that you've said for some time is that you don't want to be sold to. You want somebody who's going to invest and who's going to be there for you and be a partner, but also help you to get the outcomes you're looking for. And this is a great example of that. And it's something that will be memorable and will you will probably share with other people uh, this experience when you have gotten that extra level of care and support and service that would be provided. One of the things I think one of the reasons that some of the manufacturers tended to go to their single brand solutions was to avoid things like this, so that they could say, "Stick with us. If you use all of our stuff, we know it's going to work. We know how we're to help you. We know it's going to we're going to be able to give you the outcome. But if you are working with other products, you do it at your own risk." And I think that world thankfully has changed a bit, but that mindset and the level of support in that area, I think, has to adapt. Not everybody can know everything, but we need to be able to figure out how to help people get what they need, because in the end it's going to impact many parties when a solution doesn't work, and everybody has something
Yeah.
at stake.
And I think that's the thing is I agree with you, Steve. And I find that many manufacturers, when you're calling tech support, is they're quick to point the finger. And like I said, it could really be the other company's problem. It could be a problem on them. Prove it. Like they say in IT, it's never the network fault, but it always is the network's fault. But if I can sit there and be like, okay, my product communicates this way. These are my test features to show that my product is communicating properly. All those are passing. Then you can be like, look, you're passing our features here, our configuration or testing or everything is there. But so the issue is not on our end. And I had a prime example on this. It has nothing to do with programming or AV. We were supporting a exam, and the national exam site went down. Not our fault, but my team and I did everything we can to prove it wasn't anything on our end. We had to go through it, be like, okay, is it our computers? Is it our network? Is it this? Is it? We had to go through a lot of hoop before we even got communications from the board saying, yes, we are having technical problems. It's nationwide. So yeah, sometimes you got to prove that it is not your fault.
Yeah, take it to the end that you can get to, but also the fact that when you say it's not my problem, I think that's when we start to go off the rails a bit, or
Yes.
it's only gonna it's not going to provide a positive outcome. Um, just as a personal story for us, and I share a bit how we do API integrations and we help manufacturers work together. Without the support arm of that, and what we explain to manufacturers is we can make this work perfectly, but if somebody can't implement it for one reason or another, it's not going to provide you any value. Without that support aspect, which the manufacturer will actually invest in, we're not going to be able to get them the outcome they're looking for. And it puts us in a tough spot because people call us and they say, we need your help. You wrote this, your and your name's on it. You're accountable for it. And but we need to be able to have a way of providing that support so that it isn't detrimental to us. And we find that we have an obligation to, and it's something that we are commonly explaining to uh, the our clients that this is critical for you, and that this is your way of knowing that what you invested in is actually going to provide you the value that you're looking for. But can be a tough situation to be in, and there are some that don't want to invest in the support, and we have to kick it back to them, and it's not something that we like doing because we know that we are uniquely positioned to help programmers because we understand what their needs are, and they're probably going to get more frustrated, um, going elsewhere. So it can be tough.
It can be tough, and I think as an expert, as an SME, as we are, we need to take on that toughness and this in all levels. And the one example I'll use has, again, I'm going to deviate away from AV. I had so I don't know if it's every state, but I know back in New Jersey, um, insurance companies, when you got in an accident with your motor vehicle, insurance companies could not force you to get your vehicle repaired at a certain shop. Now they can say, we will only pay for the estimate, like we will only pay what that shop says it's going to cost, but you can get repaired wherever you want. You're not forced to say you have to go to this shop. I had a buddy who ran a body shop. He his business, like he took it on himself to deal with the insurance company. When I got in an accident with my brand new car, I mean, it was drivable, all that all stuff. He's like, leave it here. I will deal with the insurance company. You don't have to do anything. I'll be that communicator between you and the insurance company. Yeah, there were things that, I had to deal with the insurance, but he was the one who scheduled for the estimator to come out and take photos, and he did that work. That makes me as a client feel better. Like I didn't need to go through that. Same thing, like, okay, if one of my users having a problem, like I said, with the exam stuff, we became that person. Let us take on this. Let us figure it out. Maybe it's us, maybe it's somebody else. You don't need to worry about it. You just keep trying to do what you're doing. We're gonna take on this. And I expect that from manufacturers too. If I call you, be like, hey, I'm having a problem here. Okay. It may not be us. Let's figure it out. Let's work together. We figure out, okay, it is us. Oh, no, it's not us. Let's bring those people in and, and get this problem solved instead of be like, yeah, it's not our problem. Go deal with them.
And I can understand too, everybody's in business and time is valuable, and sometimes there are things outside of your control, and it can be a tricky situation, especially when there's competitors involved, or manufacturers who don't want to play nice. So I understand that, and I think what you said is really good, is they need to understand that this may be the last time we're working together if they're
Yeah.
not going to be able to provide. But there are some, to your point, that do this to differentiate themselves. They do this because they are, one of their core values is customer service, and that's what they really pride themselves in. And just the idea of saying that it's not my problem, or I don't know how to help you, um, that I can see being extremely frustrating, and I would hate to be in the shoes of getting that type of an answer.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably a good place for us to wrap this one up. But and I'm curious to hear what our listeners, because I can only imagine that there's plenty of stories. So please reach out and let us know, and perhaps we could have a follow up and talk about this some more, because there are many that do this well, and then there are many that have some ways to go, and we are really here to support the programmer community and make sure that they get what they need. And um, you know it's it's a shame if somebody is stuck and they can't get a solution to something that is fixable. So, James, how could people reach out to you and continue this conversation and keep up with what you're doing?
Again, you Google me, you'll find me. I'm on X as AV_James King. I'm on LinkedIn in the Ask the Programmer community. Um, Anything would happen. Again, Google me, you'll find me.
Absolutely. And for me, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media, and my company, Control Concepts, is a supporter of this podcast. And Uh, as I briefly mentioned, we provide API integration services for manufacturers, and we also help programmers with those such implementations. So please reach out to us at controlconcepts.net, or find out how we can help you, because we're here to support programmers, certainly with the things that we've built. And we also provide some utilities that add functionality to your systems, and those could be found at controlconcepts.net. For this podcast, please see us on the video version on YouTube or the audio version on your favorite podcast player. And we want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions, cover the topics that you need. And if you'd like to be a guest, please reach out to us. And until next time, this has been Ask the Programmer.